How you are feeling right now?
I always have this constant pressure of what I'm supposed to do at work.
Okay.
Because the work is loaded.
Hmm.
So most of the time you're blank in your head. जो डे नाइट ड्यूटी का स्केड्यूल होता है दैट लीव्स यू इन अ स्पेस जहाँ पे दिमाग में कुछ चल नहीं रहता है. इट्स प्लेन, यू नो, इतने बजे पहुँचना है, ये काम करना है, वापस आना है. दिमाग में वो टाइम कैलकुलेशन चलते रहता है कि 2 घंटे रहेगा उसमें खाना खाना है, 1-1.5 घंटे 2 घंटे में खाना खा के सो जाना है. देन यू टू गेट अप एंड गो बैक टू रिज्यूम योर ड्यूटी अगेन. सो दैट्स व्हाट इज इन माय हेड राइट अवे.
What is the work of customs like briefly in airport right now?
Okay. So at airport, custom has dual duty. One is आपका जो genuine passenger है उसको facilitate करना है. The passenger who's coming from abroad, you have to facilitate that passenger without getting into any discomfort for them. Like they should not be put into a difficult position. So they should be facilitated as quickly as possible. At the same time, along with that passenger, you have some notorious elements. Some nefarious elements who try to get illicit goods within the country or maybe take it out of the country. So to ensure that these people are caught, these people are not successful in what they're planning to do. So this is the custom is the first point of entry and exit for anything which is not legitimate, which is not legal, and that's our job. We have to ensure that we have a softer touch for a genuine passenger. At the same time, we have a presence in such a way कि कोई गलत आदमी ना निकले.
पूरा intuition का खेल है.
Okay, so intuition है, important intuition है, but intuition develop करने के लिए आपको information लगता है. You have to go through a different data set of people who have been caught, who have been booked cases against. उनको पकड़ के एक डेटा सेट बनाते हो, वो आपके जहन से निकलता है और क्या क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन थी, उन्होंने कैसे एक्ट किया, उनकी क्या स्ट्रैटेजी थी, उन्होंने कैसे प्लान किया. आप उनसे उनकी कहानियाँ सुनते हो. सिट विद देम फॉर गुड 4-5 hours एंड गेट द स्पेसिफिक्स कि ये सामान कहाँ से मिला, ये किसने दिया, उसने कैसे कॉन्टैक्ट किया, हाउ डिड यू गेट इन टच.
Catch point, like how, like any example?
A catch point is you would try and understand time frames क्या है हर एक्शन के. क्योंकि वो टाइम फ्रेम उसके एयर ट्रैवल और डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के मूवमेंट में दिखेंगे. राइट, हाउ डिड ही मूव थ्रू फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ इनिशिएशन, जब जहाँ पे कोई प्लान करता है, कंसेप्चुलाइज करता है, उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने का टाइम फ्रेम होता है. यू ट्राई टू गेट टू दैट टाइम फ्रेम और उसको बेस बना के आप बाकी लोगों को समझने की कोशिश करते हो कि कौन सस्पिशियस हो सकता है जो इस टाइम फ्रेम के अंडर काम कर रहा है. बिकॉज यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड समवन हु इज ट्राइंग टू डू समथिंग रॉन्ग इज ऑल्सो वर्किंग अंडर सर्टेन लिमिटेशन. आप स्मगल भी कर रहे हो कि सामान, आप कुछ गलत भी कर रहे हो, आपके इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशन है एज दैट स्मगलर. आई नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट लिमिटेशन एंड एक्सप्लॉइट इट. उसकी लिमिटेशन क्या है, वो इस एरिया और इस तरीके से ही काम कर सकता है, मुझे वो चीज़ पकड़नी है.
You have talk about mindset ना, like आप जो बता रहे हो कि मोस्टली कस्टम्स के काम है ना वो स्मगलिंग, इलीगल थिंग्स. एक सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर है वो तो चलो नॉर्मल है, लोगों को जस्ट फॉलो अप रखना है, बट द मेन टारगेट दिस पीपल हु आर ट्राइंग टू डू समथिंग इलीगल और यू नो legitimate, नॉन लेजिटिमेट थिंग्स. तो like you were talking about something like you were in a happy space today. You got a propose, like example, or you got married, or you have done something bigger. You are mentally in a happy space.
Okay.
You're going to office. You need to switch on to that phase. Is it difficult in initial days?
You get a hang of it. See, initially every transition is difficult. Come from a different background, different thought process, different outlook. But eventually that switch becomes automatic.
Okay.
The moment you leave your building, get into the car, in your head you know you're going for a duty, and that switch automatically happens. फिर घर में क्या हुआ, फ़ोन में क्या बज रहा है, nothing matters, because you know आपको वहाँ जाके क्या करना है. The same thing which I said, you have to be conscious enough to understand the limitation under which someone is acting. Someone is acting wrongly. अपने आप स्विच होने लगता है. आफ्टर गिव इट अ वीक और सो वो स्विच ऑटोमेटिक होता है. lot of things that has happened for you personally, जो आपने बोला ना happy space, वो अपने आप background में चला जाता है, that recedes into the background.
Doesn't like affect you basically.
Yes, it stops affecting you. वो थोड़ा सा, how can I say, it gets bifurcated into different regions of your brain.
Exactly.
This is a good part of my family and my happiness, but this is my work, and that switch automatically happens. Like once I come back to my home, I'll go back to the same happy place. कि आज ये हुआ, आज this was a happy.
Means you learned that thing.
It's an acquired skill. It comes on the job.
Okay.
Naturally नहीं आता.
अच्छा.
अगर आप उसी thought में रह गए कि आज अच्छा मेरे साथ ये हुआ, you'll be lost at your job. You can't afford to do that. You have to have 100% presence, standing there for your duty.
Tell me something about, like, this is one of the chapter which I'm very curious to learn. And you people are the perfect example to teach us. Like, this concept is called human mapping. You know it very well, okay? Tell us something like how it happens. Just get airport mein, like we're talking about something before this, like there are 300 passengers going on. How to like get that person? There is something wrong. Like, how this human mapping things happen? Generally भी आ जाता है कभी रास्ते में normally चलते हो?
Not really, and that would not even be fair to someone.
Okay.
To anyone rather. So you should not. I'll tell you honestly, ये intuitive होता है. Where you get to know that probably something is wrong. But as an officer, you should not really rely on that because it's a hit and miss.
Okay.
More than that, you should work on information. आपके पास information क्या है किसी passenger के लेके या किसी flight को लेके? You prune through that information. क्या होता है, लोग बड़ा simplistic बना देते हैं कि यार ये तो इसको intuition हो गया तो इसने पकड़ लिया, केस बना दिया. उस intuition के पीछे there are data points which are at work.
Okay.
उस passenger के travel history को आप देखते हो and you try to pick those data points which are out of the original and you try to connect those data points. फिर आप अपने दिमाग में सोचते हो कि इस passenger का movement ऐसे है, why did this passenger move through this channel or this way, and you ask your question कि आप होते तो क्या आप ऐसे करते हैं? अगर आप genuine passenger होते हैं तो आपका movement in terms of what flights you're taking, when you're taking it, how you're booking those flights, all this becomes important. और उस data पे act आप करते हो and people very easily call it intuition. It's not intuition, it's that summation of those data points which you have to connect at the back end. So connecting the dots is more like it rather than intuition. At the back end, at the very subconscious level, you're connecting the dots because आपके पास वो set of information and once it gets properly connected, it's called as intuition, but probably it's more than that.
Like mostly ना सब जगह पे IAS IPS का एक detailed information रहता है. Compared to that, forest service, revenue service इतना नहीं रहता है. Like what will be your tips if somebody is coming to this service, what he is going to get?
Okay, so I'll just say that there are two IRS service. One is Indian Revenue Service Income Tax, which is direct taxation. One is Indian Revenue Service Customs. I would not be able to comment on Revenue Service Income Tax, but Indian Revenue Service Custom it's a broad field. It's just fascinating. The good thing, the best thing, the singular important thing about this job is इतना broad profile है that you can explore yourself. You can decide for yourself that my temperament and my capabilities are suited to one kind of work.
Exactly.
और यहाँ पे आप 5-6 चीज़ें देखते हो. आप public policy देखते हो, आप public dealing देखते हो, आप custom clearance देखते हो, passenger clearance देखते हो, intelligence देखते हो, digital system conceptualization and implementation देखते हो, trade negotiations देखते हो. All of this is varied fields. Are varied fields. They are closer to different services at different point. Intelligence gathering would come very close to police service.
Okay, yeah.
Trade negotiation would come very close to what foreign service officials would be doing. Field formation job would come very close to something what income tax is doing. जब मैं GST और custom tax implement कर रहा हूँ. System designing would come very close to your audit service job जहाँ पे backend system पे सारा data trail रखते हैं. So it's such a beautiful umbrella of different kind of jobs. आप यहाँ पे आ जाओ, you get to figure it out for yourself, and once you figure it out, and if you can stick to that kind of profile, that's very rewarding. If I know as a person that I'm into this kind of job and this satisfies me the most, and someone offers me to keep doing it, that's rewarding. If I say I'm a desk man, I'm very much into policy making, मुझे policy formulation बहुत अच्छा लगता है, मुझे अच्छा लगता है कि मैं दूसरी countries की policy देखूँ और इंडिया की policy को improve करूँ. If I get a taste of it, which I get in this service, and if I can continue doing that, it's satisfying. So this is something which this service offers. It gives you that elaborate set of options to explore your own liking.
एक like we were talking about the smuggling and stuff, तो एक मीडिया पे हम जो देखते हैं, is this the reality और क्या होता है exactly? If you can share with some example, because sometimes I think many of the times we have been misguided. How is it?
See, the thing about smuggling is all these cases, as I have understood, are very sensitive. Most of the time, the entire detail is not supposed to be in public domain, और रहता भी नहीं है. So you just get a brief of what is going around, and that's it. Specifics आपको पता नहीं होंगे. और उसमें भी because a lot of these cases are further investigation cases, they are largely not even in public domain. जब वो culminate हो जाता है final conclusion findings में, उसके बाद वो बाहर आता है. So most of the time it's not even in the public domain in the clearest of sense, because the investigation is usually underway. It's already ongoing. So not lot of the things that you read on Twitter or somewhere on a newspaper, it would be accurate to a certain extent, but it will not be complete, because it cannot be. It's an ongoing investigation. Not everything can be brought out in a public domain.
Like this, as of now, we have understood this is your profession. Tell us something about your personal life.
Personal life. It's been fun.
I felt you are very sorted. Like the way we are in your room when I have conversations over phone, like a very chill out person. Like very sorted. You know what to do, what not to do, and you are not messed up type of. That's my personal opinion.
Probably. I mean, there's so many things to learn in life. I think the single most important thing that one should learn is to simplify one's behavior and one's thought process. Otherwise, in a place like this, where a lot depends on you in terms of what you're doing and what you're not doing, or what you're not able to do, if you don't have that clarity and clear headspace, you would not be able to do a lot of things in the best possible fashion. So you have to be conscious about the fact that a lot of these influences and impulses around you, they're not important. They're white noise. They're there, and you're a lot of the times you're made to believe कि ये important है.
Brief about this. Many people don't understand the term.
I'll tell you. So I'll give you a broad example. जो एक common generic example है. लोगों के लिए ना जिंदगी में 3 चीजें important होती हैं: social visibility, financial status, and public and interpersonal relationships. Right? These are the 3 broad areas. ठीक है? When you're growing up from a middle class family, आपको भी बोला जाता है कि ये 3 चीजें हैं which you are aspiring to get. Right? You need to be in a financially stable place. You need to have good interpersonal relations, and you should have a social visibility. तो आपको क्या लगा 20 साल तक ये important है, but when you try to demystify these things in your head, when you try to be efficient in your life and sorted in your life, you realize that these are futile. इनकी वैल्यू इतनी नहीं जितनी आपको अपब्रिंगिंग के समय समझ में आई थी, कि जो समाज में बोल के और फैमिली में बोल के भेजा था मिडिल क्लास अपब्रिंगिंग में कि इतना इंपॉर्टेंट है. इंपॉर्टेंट होता नहीं है, नॉट इवन इम्पॉर्टेंट, बट आपको वो अपने आप को उस पोजीशन से निकालना पड़ता है. दैट लिसन, आई हैव बीन गिवन दिस इन्फॉर्मेशन दैट दिस इज इम्पॉर्टेंट, बट आफ्टर थिंकिंग इट फॉर योरसेल्फ यू रियलाइज नॉट इवन इम्पॉर्टेंट, नॉट इवन रिलेवेंट. वंस यू ब्रिंग योरसेल्फ आउट ऑफ दैट प्लेस, यू हैव दैट काम, यू हैव दैट क्लैरिटी. ये सारी वाइट नॉइस है, ये चलता रहता है, इंपॉर्टेंट बोल रखा है बट है नहीं इंपॉर्टेंट. जस्ट लेट गो ऑफ इट.
डू मनी ब्रिंग्स calmness?
No, it doesn't. It's a chase.
नहीं, मैं इसीलिए पूछ रहा हूँ कि सम पीपल थिंक्स लाइक यू हैव अ गवर्नमेंट जॉब, यू आर अ ब्यूरोक्रेट, sufficient amount of money, that's why they may say कि, no, it doesn't bring calmness, but financial stability actually brings calmness. Many people think.
I'll tell you. So the whole thing about being financially stable is in your head. Again, it's again through the rigorous thinking about your own life and your own personality. People don't appreciate that there's a basic quantum of money that require. उससे ऊपर नहीं चाहिए होता है. But people keep running after it. You have to figure out for yourself that amount, which you once get, you can have that financial stability in your life. लोग वो amount figure out नहीं कर पाते. उनको लगता है कि नहीं यार इससे ज़्यादा होगा तो better होगा. But after a point, it does not serve any purpose. एक cut off point होता है जहाँ पे आपका basic simple living, which you say right, which supports खाना रहना, family के साथ समय बिताना, वो support जिसमें हो जाए. A middle class life, once that is taken care of, उसके ऊपर हर चीज़ की marginal utility होती है. And that does not add on to your clarity or your calmness or your contentment. बड़े fleeting moments होते हैं. किसी ने कुछ महंगी चीज़ खरीद ली, 10 मिनट अच्छा लगा, that is it. It does not add to your sense of contentment.
What is happiness for you?
Being in a place where I can just leave my phone and no one calls me, and I'm not required to look at
alone or with someone? Like
alone.
With a company?
With myself.
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you, happiness would be, leave me at a place which is a hill station or a beach.
Where?
Anywhere in India.
Okay.
So many beautiful places, right? Pondicherry, Leh, Andaman, Meghalaya. Leave me there and give me the liberty where I can just leave my phone at my home for 7 days. You say, Manu, 7 दिन तेरे को phone नहीं आएगा, तेरे को सोचना ही नहीं. If I can get to that point in my life where my phone becomes unimportant to me, that I think would be this perfect place of blissfulness. I'm trying to get there. But
missing happiness?
नौकरी के साथ तो यार it's not possible. नौकरी के साथ again, so all these things when I said ना white noise जो है, reasonably कितने influences को हटा सकते हो. मैं नौकरी नहीं हटा सकता, अपनी family नहीं हटा सकता. My obligation to my service will still remain, and my obligation to my immediate family would still remain. इसको छोड़ के मैंने बाकी 3 चीज़ें हटा दी हैं, which is running after money, running after prestige or social visibility and validation, and running after needless interpersonal relations. ये तीनों चीज़ें मैं reasonably हटा सकता था लाइफ से. नौकरी हटा नहीं सकता because I feel a sense of commitment to my work, or family, immediate family, you are responsible for them. So वो मैं हटा नहीं सकता. Movement is कि आने वाले 10-15 साल में ऐसी जगह पहुँच जाऊँ जहाँ इन चीज़ों से भी अपने आप को, if you can detach yourself, I think that will be the absolute point of contentment and happiness.
Spirituality, are you?
Oh yeah, I'm into Taoism. I'm into a lot of these philosophical thought processes which try to simplify life. See, at the end of the day, every important thing that someone has said is a movement towards simplification. And that simplification is required because you're born as a simple individual, right? You don't have a preconceived notion and a sense of judgment. But वो 15-20 साल में जब आप बड़े हो रहे होते हैं, सब कुछ आपके दिमाग में डाल दिया जाता है. ये सही है, ये गलत है. Social pressure, social inculcation, and you're taught what is important, what's not. But वो आपका thought process नहीं है, वो आपको किसी ने बताया है. So you actually have to sit back and figure out that मुझे 10 चीज़ें बताई गई हैं. What is important to me as an individual? बाहर वाले बोल रहे हैं उनकी कहानी है, मेरे लिए क्या ज़रूरी है मुझे खुद पता करना है. जब तक मैं खाली नहीं बैठूंगा ना, अपने आप को समय नहीं दूंगा, I would not have the time and the mental space to figure these things out. लोग ये करते नहीं हैं. लोग भागम भाग में ज़िंदगी निकाल देते हैं. किस बेसिस पे? उन्हें क्या बताया गया है, क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है. जो मैं 10 लोगों ने जो बता दिया ना इंपॉर्टेंट है, उसके पीछे मैं भाग रहा हूँ. कभी यार एक बैठ के तो देखो और पूछो कि वो 10 में से तुम्हारे लिए क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है. शायद कुछ भी ना हो, but you have to feel it for yourself. ये थोड़ा सा मुझे
same thing happens in abroad also. You've been to South Korea. वहीं पे भी are they running like Indians, like us Indians in the sense?
That's a common phenomena across
everywhere.
Everyone's, I mean, South Korea, there's this word about South Korean culture. They call it palli culture. So Palli is a word, Korean word, which means rush.
Okay.
So Palli culture is a culture that's running, that's in a mode of rush, and they have their jobs, and throughout the day they're just running after one thing or the other. So they rather, मुझे लगता है as Indians we are slightly more stable. As a culture we're slightly more contemplative. हम चीज़ों के पीछे तुरंत नहीं भागने लगते, हम सोचते हैं what is the inherent value of an idea or what is the inherent value of a thought, और हम उसके बाद decide करते हैं if we need to chase it or not. South Korea they keep running, they don't stop, they don't take a break, their life is running.
Are you coming from a middle class family?
Absolutely.
Okay. Like what your father?
So my dad is an officer with Indian Telecom Service.
Okay. BSN. उस time पे.
अभी BSNL बन गया, but he's with Ministry of Telecommunication.
Okay.
DOT, they call it Department of Telecommunication. He's with DOT. But his father was a primary school teacher.
Okay.
So that's where we started.
You're born and brought up?
So I did my education in Jabalpur, Kendriya Vidyalaya, Sarkari school. And when I was about to get into college, engineering college, my dad, he came to me and he said, यार देखो एग्ज़ाम अच्छे से निकाल लेना, प्राइवेट कॉलेज में तो एडमिशन करा नहीं पाएंगे, वो फीस ज़्यादा होता है, इतना फीस देने का.
Only son?
हाँ?
Are you the only son?
No, I have a twin sister.
Okay.
So my dad said तुम 2 बच्चे हो, प्राइवेट ट्यूशन तो दे नहीं पाएंगे, ट्रिपल ई में अच्छी रैंक ले आओ, सरकारी कॉलेज मिल जाएगा, गेट इनटू दैट्स योर वे फॉरवर्ड. So this is when I say come from a middle class family, this is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of limitation we always had. I mean that's common to a lot of middle class family. कि ये कर सकते हैं, ये नहीं कर सकते, सरकारी स्कूल में पढ़ा सकते हैं, प्राइवेट स्कूल में शायद नहीं पढ़ा सकते, सरकारी कॉलेज में डिग्री करा सकते हैं, प्राइवेट कॉलेज में नहीं करा सकते. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर मेरे स्कूल में कुछ बच्चों ने बोला कि SAT देना है, 12th के बाद एक SAT होता है फॉर फॉर्मल एजुकेशन अब्रॉड. आई वेंट अप टू माई डैड, आई सेड पापा ये सब SAT दे रहे हैं, मुझे भी देना है. तो माई डैड he looked at me and said कि दे लो, आई एम प्रीटी श्योर यू डू ग्रेट, बट द पॉइंट इज तुम्हें बाहर पढ़ने के लिए मेरे पास पैसे नहीं, आई कैन नॉट सेंड यू अब्रॉड. सो देना चाहते हो दे लो, दैट्स नॉट एन इशू, बट वी कम फ्रॉम अ फैमिली, वी कम फ्रॉम अ प्लेस वेयर we can't afford a lot of things, which is fine with me. So that's how it's been.
Financial struggles you have seen?
Not really, come on. A lot of people have seen a life which has been way worse. So I come from a very balanced family where we have not seen luxury, but we had all the basic requirements covered.
Not below poverty?
No, not at all. Everything was in place. Basic requirements were taken care of. Absolute luxurious life नहीं, but no struggles. I would not say there was any struggle at any point in time. Limitations थे, middle class family के limitations होते हैं, क्या कर सकते हो क्या नहीं कर सकते हो, करने वाली चीज़ आपके financial capabilities में होती हैं, वो थी, वो किया, जो नहीं कर सकते नहीं किया.
Last question. How was Manu for 15 years down the line and right now? What changed?
A lot of things. So, जो मैंने बोला, we keep running after a lot of things.
So you used to run at that point of time?
Everyone would. आपको तो बचपन से तो सिखा दिया जाता है ना कि important क्या है. समय होता नहीं है. 10th लिखना है, 12th लिखना है, इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज पकड़ना है, नौकरी पकड़नी है. इस भागदौड़ में सोचने के लिए समय कहाँ. It's only after you reach a point where you think कि ठीक है, now I can sit back and think about my life. What kind of life I want to live. जब वो point आप achieve करते हो, which for me was coming into this service, then you take time for self and you think for self कि मुझे क्या चाहिए क्या नहीं चाहिए. So I've changed. I think I'll give you a few examples of how I've changed. I used to be this reserved, shy person who would not talk a lot.
Introvert.
I was never confident about myself. This job and this understanding of myself gave me a certain degree of confidence. Listen, whatever you're saying and whatever you're thinking has value. Why not say it out loud? गलत होगा तो कोई सही करेगा ना, कोई बात नहीं. गलत है मानेंगे, गलत है, we'll correct it and then move forward. But उसमें झिझकना क्यों है? So that confidence that has come to me after I've thought about a lot of things in life. That's something I learned here. Articulation.
Okay.
KV में English बोलना नहीं सिखाते. English subject होता है. I'll give you an example. In class 11th, my English teacher, PTM, she called my dad and she said, "Sir, आपका लड़का तो अच्छा कर रहा है, but I have one issue. Your kids, me and my sister, they cannot speak in English. They cannot even frame one statement." And yeah, that was a setback.
Yeah.
Because I've been a topper throughout my school and college. And when someone points this, there's this lacuna, there's this limitation that gets you thinking.
Yeah.
So that has changed a lot. I worked on my language. I started reading a lot of books. I started watching a lot of shows. Notes banata tha. There's this show, I'll tell you, Modern Family का एक show है, right? It's a comedy show, and I started making notes from that show. अभी शायद 2-3 OTTs में आ गए हैं, but मैं Hotstar पे देखता हूँ. 3 years back, the phrases they would use, the words they would use, मैंने मोबाइल पे बैठ के नोट डाउन करता था कि this is such a beautiful way of using that word or that phrase. I've done similar things. जब मैं सिविल सर्विस की तैयारी कर रहा था कॉलेज के सेकेंड ईयर में, there's a political commentator called Farid Zakaria at CNN.
Okay.
So he talks about global issues. Very refined, very well-rounded individual when you hear him speak. And वो articulate when you hear their articulation, the way they talk during their shows. There's this small corner in you that says to you that, listen, why can't you be that person? Why can't you be that refined in terms of what you want to say? Why can't you be that clear in your communication? And I would do the same with his show. मैं CNN का show कहीं भी video निकालता था YouTube से, and I would start making notes. What technical terms did he use? What context did he create to come to that technical phrase? How did he use it? So yeah, I mean that articulation and expression, that's one thing I've added on to my skills. And that was a long process. If I can say, it took me around 6 years with conscious effort. Because I never wanted this one thing to be a limitation. It's a very basic thing. To speak in a language which you've been aware of, which has been part of your curriculum. So I gave it to myself. I gave this to myself as a challenge. That why can't you pull it off? If everyone around you is so accomplished in their expression and their articulation, why should I hold back? And it worked out fine. And public speaking, oh God, you look at people from a stage, from a podium, and your legs buckle.
Yeah.
Right? You feel your legs shaking.
Yeah.
That would happen to me. Right? Stage पे जाके स्कूल में आवाज़ रुक जाती थी, पैर हिलने लगते थे, कांपने लगते थे. अभी मैं दिल्ली में था for public policy and capacity building. They would randomly ask us to take sessions. 1-2 में difficulty हुई, but then you realize that, listen, you've done so much work. This is all your baby. The work you're presenting is your work. You need to be confident with it. 1-2 iterations के बाद you become confident, and you start to think to yourself, it's not that difficult. What is there to be diffident about? You're saying the right thing, you're doing the right thing, and you're sure about the grammatical nuances.
Exactly.
Why be conscious? So that changed. Public speaking, being introvert, and articulation. That changed a lot.
Thank you so much. I literally learned a lot of things from you. Your calmness, the way you exposed yourself, and you're happy in your own space. You know, sometimes we all are hustling. I also try, but somewhere I'm in that phase right now, hustling. I'm trying to do that. I learned a little bit from your side. I hope you like the show.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for having me.